professional. Oh, 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 oh. A chance with a professional. With smiles is all wood. A chance with a professional. Oh, 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 oh. A chance with a professional. With smiles is all wood.
Do you think that Baba Obasanjo could be on the stage while these Boko Haram people are doing what they are doing?
The objective of the private organization is slightly different from...
Nigeria is the most important country
of education. The collapse of culture in Nigeria. Even with cheating, we can't pass.
We've not done enough. There's still more. Join us.
And you'll never regret that you did.
Over the years, Nigeria has organized many elections. In the year 2011, we witnessed both pre- and post-election violence across the country, especially in the north. We also witnessed killings in no small measure, like I was trying to talk about. 4 years down the line, we are having another round of elections, and we are saying, which way Nigeria? Today on the show, we are going to be taking a look at the economic impact of elections on Nigerians. This is a chat to the professional, your regular, and my name remains Martin Sobu. You're welcome to the show. Sit back now as we take on the break, and my special guest interview comes on thereafter. Please stay. Today, like I mentioned to you in my introduction, we are going to be taking a look at the impact of elections on the Nigerian economy. And today we are going to be having one of our regular guests on the show, a tourism practitioner and someone who actually has paid his dues in what he does. It is now my pleasure and privilege to welcome to the show today Akpabio, the Managing Director, Chief Executive of Nanet Hotels. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Martins.
In 2011, we actually witnessed lots and lots of violence across the country. As a matter of fact, you did lose one of your staff in one of the post-election violence in Kaduna, to be specific. And 4 years down the line, we are having another round of elections. Can you give an overview, in your opinion, of the or rather, can you give an overview of your experience over the years with elections in this country?
Well, elections in Nigeria has been on a developmental pattern. We must never forget that Nigeria is a developing society. And every 4 years when we conduct our elections, we try to make it better. We try to get to the levels the developed societies have attained. And this year, 2015, is no exception. This year, let me start with the umpire, that's the INEC. I think they've taken a lot of very important steps to reduce electoral malpractice as much as possible. We are only hopeful that in practice and in reality, a lot of what they have tried to curb will be possible. Also, the government has tried its best to allow that independence of the electoral umpire to exist. And that has manifested in some of the current decisions, like postponement of the elections and so on, which the government has been able to distance itself from. And I think these are very important milestones. We now look at steps taken to curb election violence, especially post-election violence, as you have stated. One of the very major steps was the peace accord, which was enacted in Abuja some weeks ago. and which the political parties, through their presidential aspirants, accepted and became party to. We hope they will live up to the expectations of that peace accord. In as much as there's been a lot of unfortunate language used in some of the electioneering campaigns on television and other media, but generally speaking, we've not really had very terrible cases of pre-election violence across the country. We are still trying to, fight the Boko Haram menace. So we are lucky that we've been spared from pre-election violence that may have taken place in other election times. And our hope is that during the election and even after the election, and after, importantly, the announcement of results, we will not degenerate to those levels of post-election violence that we experienced, especially in 2011. So I think, generally speaking, and in answer to your question, we are evolving steadily. We're evolving positively. And our hope is that 2015 elections will be far superior to 2011 elections.
Okay, I say amen to that. Within the past few years, we've seen a complete turnaround in our economy. As a matter of fact, the economy of the country was rebased and now classified as the leading economy in Africa. Unfortunately, within the past few months, we've seen a complete decline. As a matter of fact, the purchasing power of an average Nigerian hasn't been this low in a long while. You could also see the exchange rate, that is the value of Naira, dropping drastically, and our foreign reserve dropping by about $1 billion within a space of 1 to 2 weeks. So in your assessment, what would be the cause of this?
Again, as I started the interview by saying, Nigeria is a developing country. A developing country is like trying to lead a child, maybe for a walk or running, and you're always afraid that the child is going to fall down. And so that's how even our economy is structured. We are not so robust. Anything can actually shake and destabilize the Nigerian economy. And one of the key things that happens every 4 years is elections. So during election periods, there are many things that occur. And that's why you see that inflows of foreign direct investments have dried up. International firms are very jittery. And even the electorate, you see that some who have the capacity have even sent parts of their families out of Nigeria. So there is that general apprehension and tension, and this is going to impact on our economic fortunes. And then also guidelines, in as much as they are represented on paper, most times are not adhered to. And when you look at electioneering in developing countries like Nigeria, it is highly money intensive. There is a lot of financial interplay, and the financial interplay tends to have a drain on our resources. Governments at the state, federal, and local levels recourse to supporting electioneering financial requirements, and this puts strains on our purses. Ruling governments tend to reduce capital expenses, cannot even cope with recurrent expenditure, and so on and so forth. And so this has impacted a lot on these particular elections of 2015. And Maybe that is why when you spoke of its impact on our currency values, of course, apart from the fact that we are having an international oil crisis, which has unfortunately compounded the situation. And so that's why you have a decline in the value of the naira.
Yes, a developing country, but I mean, for how long are we going to continue going around this? For every 4 years, there's an election, and we practically throw into the dustbin all the achievements of the serving administration, all because we are politicking to have a new government in place. What do you think we can do as an entrepreneur whose business, I believe, has largely been negatively affected by this development?
Let me start from the last aspect you just mentioned. It's impacting very negatively on my own industry, which is the tourism sector, because as I'm speaking to you now, in my industry, hospitality and tourism, the months of January, February of every year are what we call the low season months. There are months that everybody is recovering from the excesses of the December jubilation period. There are the months that we are waiting for budgets to be implemented. There are the months that school fees are paid and so on and so forth. But this particular year, 2015, which occurs every 4 years, in answer to your question, has again been very negative because it's election year. And so everyone is holding all their monies to their chests because of the apprehension I just mentioned. Nobody is sure whether, I'm sorry to say it like that, whether Nigeria will continue to exist, right, whether there will be so much violence that we will have to run out of the country, and so on and so forth. So that puts a strain on expenditure, and one of the first to be hit is the tourism sector. But again, in answering how we can reduce the impacts of this and how we can learn and probably institutionalize and become like what the developed countries have become, I would like to say that it takes time. It takes time. There's no way we are going to do 100-meter sprints before we can walk properly. And when you look at Nigeria, Nigeria is a country that is yet to walk properly. So when we look at those who are doing 100-meter sprints and we want to keep up with them, it's just not going to be possible. I'll look at some examples in our political history. As I'm talking to you now, most of the political parties cannot boast of very clear-cut ideologies. And I used to tell some of my friends that it's even impossible for them to boast of that, because everything that you're doing in a developing society boils down to infrastructure. Oh, we are building roads, we are building schools, we are building health centers. That's not ideology, that's government at work. So I laugh, I say, what ideology do you want each political party to have? They are all infrastructural messiahs. They want to build up. So it's going to take us time before you can get clear-cut ideologies, because right now we have a citizenship that cannot exist, and so ideology is reduced to stomach infrastructure. Secondly, until we have, for instance, two robust political parties that can change the levels of competitiveness, of governance, we will not arrive anywhere. And I'm talking about the fact that even looking at the postponement of elections, you can see how the PDP government has jumped up and done so many things within just 2 weeks. Not to talk of what we are going to see in 6 weeks, because there is a competition at the polls, and this competition is greater than what we have had in preceding 4 years. So imagine a situation where we actually have two political parties that, like they have in the United States of America. Today, for instance, Democrats, tomorrow you have the Republicans. So we are going to also have today the party A and tomorrow party B.
Let's just say PDP or APC.
No, I don't want to say that, but if you insist. So, assuming we have the PDP today and tomorrow the APC, so at least we understand what we are talking. And you see that there will be greater competition, because when the PDP is in power, the APC is strong enough to challenge the PDP, strong enough to wrest power from the PDP. And if they succeed and APC comes into power, PDP too will be strong enough to challenge them and also can wrest power. So you see that the levels, like we say, the levels would have changed. Competition would have come in. And when that levels change, every other thing changes automatically.
Absolutely.
The independence of the electoral body will be further guaranteed. The lack of rigging of elections will be further guaranteed. The standards of living of the citizens would have been elevated. The institutions that make up a country and puts it in the Committee of Developed Nations would have been put in place. So politics drives the economy. Politics drives the government. Politics gives us that playing field. And I'm happy to note that in Nigeria, we are evolving. Nigeria is a work in progress. It's like a father and mother who can never see how tall the child is growing. They say when you come as an outsider and you say, oh, your child is growing so fast, he's taller than when I saw him the last time. So when we are inside, we may not see, but I would like to say that I've always been exceptionally optimistic about Nigeria. I believe that outside having the largest economy, which you alluded to, we are also going to have the most developed in a short time in Africa. We are also going to have a total stoppage of certain problems that seem to be developed at this point in time. Don't forget, the darkest period is just before daylight. This is our darkest period. The period of insecurity. We talk of corruption. We talk of mismanagement. We talk of lack of structure. A lot of these things are going to fall in place within a short time. And the political process will have to drive it. And I think we are in the right direction.
Now, what would be your advice to both the sitting and incoming administration to ensure that the gains of the past are not like, we just talked a while ago, trashed, to ensure that there's continuity and to ensure that moving forward, what we have achieved with the rebasing of our economy is not lost to unnecessary politics?
My advice is very simple. Most successive governments in Nigeria have recorded improvements. And after post-2015, I don't see us going backwards. We really have very little choice than to go forwards. We speak glowingly about the Goodluck administration, of the massive strides of development that have been achieved. Again, it's a build-up of former governments. So I can tell you, whether it's APC, PDP, or Labour, or APGA, any government that comes in post-2015, I don't think we need to entertain any fear that we are going to have a reduction in what strides of development we've achieved in the past. We should not entertain that fear. The second aspect is that whether we like it or not, within a very short period of our current democracy, we've also built up a robust National Assembly, state assemblies in most of the states, and it becomes very difficult for any incoming president to form a cabal or to single-handedly lead the country on the path of destruction. It will be very difficult. And don't forget, Nigeria is also a country that you have a very big and huge amount of advocacy groups, activist groups, NGOs. There's been a concentration worldwide of what is happening in this country. And so the scenario is not exactly as it was in the past. And we can't go backwards. It's more difficult for us to go backwards now than it is for us to go forward. And also, I'd like to say that the quality at virtually all levels, qualities of governors that come in, qualities of presidents that come in, qualities of local government chairmen that come in, has been improving over the years. So again, maybe in my die-hard optimism, I would like to say that I personally will be looking at a post-election period of greater prosperity, a bigger economy, a more involving financial, economic empowerment to the generality of citizens of this country, and very importantly, the strides that have been made by this administration. I don't see a new administration coming to roll back those gains. What are the gains? Nobody can come and say, look, I will stop building roads. If we say the Jonathan administration has given us many roads, that cannot be pulled back. They can only add. The railway lines, it can't be pulled back. You can only come and improve on the airports. You cannot go back. The universities that have been built and so many things that have been done. The local content that is operational in certain sectors of our economy, any new government can only take that to other sectors of the economy. So I am looking at a build-up on the gains of this economy. And I would like to say, as a person, I don't at all entertain any fear that any government that succeeds in 2015 will drag us back.
All right, thank you so very much, Akpabio, for sparing your time and for sharing your thoughts with us on this show today. We are hoping that within the next couple of months, we shall be coming back to have a post-election analysis of what would have happened and perhaps the gains the economy would have recorded after the 2015 elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martins.
Alright viewers, I'm afraid that's the much time would permit on the show today, a chat to the professional. Of course, you will agree with me that Akpabio, as an entrepreneur of repute and a core practitioner in the tourism sector of our economy, understands the effect or the impact of elections on our economy. And we're just hoping that our politicians will begin to learn their lessons and ensure that for every round of elections, we do not waste or squander the lean resources that perhaps would have been accrued within a couple of years to ensure sustenance of democracy. We're also hoping that we'll begin to see a decline in cost of running government in this country so that the dividends of democracy can actually trickle down the line. A situation where we have just a few percentage of Nigerians enjoying all the wealth while the rest can merely feed, is unacceptable for a country like Nigeria. So till next week when I come your way, I remain Martin Sobu saying stay blessed, and I'll see you again.
A chat with a professional. With Martin Sobu. A chat with a professional. A chat with a professional. With Martin Sobu. A chat with a professional will make you know more about the society.